My name is Gaylene Rogers Lonergan, and as many of you know, I am a real estate and title attorney here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. I want to welcome everyone to our second podcast of Legal Answers Just for Real Estate. And today we are pleased to have Cesar Avellaneda with Texas Republic Bank as our guest. Cesar, welcome to our podcast.
Gaylene, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to talk for the next couple of minutes.
Fantastic, fantastic. So today we're going to discuss some issues pertaining to real estate lending in general, as well as real estate in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. So let's just dive right in. So one thing a lot of my clients always want to know or hear lately is, as everybody probably already knows, the Federal Reserve has recently begun to lower interest rates slowly, and that trend is generally expected to continue. So given that, what are some of the factors that can affect a mortgage interest rate? For instance, how does the type of real estate affect the rate, whether it's owner-occupied residential, investor residential, and even commercial?
Well, that's a great starter. So right off the bat, FICO is going to affect your rate. But let's talk about what you just brought up, which is the type of property. So we are always going to prioritize your homestead, your primary homestead. You're going to get the best rate in that way. If you're going to be an investor and you're going to expand your portfolio, you're probably going to notice a little bit higher of a rate compared to the average that you're going to see, every day on your CNBC or Fox News Business on what the average for mortgage rates are. The reason for that is because that's going to be deemed a little bit more risky. Same can be said for commercial properties at this point. Here in DFW, we've actually noticed that, it's very desirable for businesses to come over here. So we're kind of a little bit in a bubble, I would say, where we're not really experiencing hardships with commercial properties right now because we're very desirable for businesses to move over here to DFW.
Oh, fantastic. That's great. That's great to know. So if someone was to put down a higher down payment versus a lower amount, would that affect the rate?
Yes, it would, but I would need a little bit more detail and I'll elaborate on that a little bit. So for example, if you're going to put a high down payment, a bank is really going to see that as not really risky. You have more skin in the game. So in a situation like that, you're probably going to see maybe a better rate. But let's say that you're a first-time home buyer. You're only going to put down maybe 3%, and maybe let's say an immediate family member is going to contribute towards your closing costs or your down payment. In a situation like that, because again, we want to prioritize your primary homestead, you could still see a very competitive rate, even though you're not putting down as much as someone that's going to put down 20 or 25%.
Right, right. Okay. Does the interest rate being fixed versus a adjustable rate make any difference?
Oh, yes. So let's kind of talk about that a little bit. I like to think about it in terms of something fixed is a lot more stable, right? So throughout the amortization or, the period of the loan, let's say 30 years, a fixed rate, you are always going to have that same payment of the principal and the interest, okay? So you are never going to notice it go up or down. Where you're going to see that is on your escrows. So for example, your property taxes and your homeowner's policy, that in most cases are going to go up over time, but your interest
Generally
rate,
not down, yes.
yes, generally not down, but your interest rate is going to stay fixed during that entire period. So that will stay the same. Let's talk about the ARM though. So the ARM, especially in times when interest rates are high, they tend to be more desirable because in situations like that, the ARM might have a slightly lower interest rate for, let's say, 3-5 years, something like that. So you might benefit from a really good monthly payment those 2-5 years in the beginning. But let's say the market continues to go up, right? And now prime rate, let's say, goes back up to 8.5, 8.75. Now, when that readjusts, you're going to have a very high
Right.
monthly payment.
And that's one of the problems that happened back several years ago.
Yes.
Was there were all those arms and they were
Absolutely.
readjusting.
Absolutely. And because of that, now we have Dodd-Frank and now we have your vanilla Fannie Freddie loans that, that's what everyone wants because it's very stable, it's very fixed. You don't have to worry about these balloon payments, prepayment penalties.
Explain about that vanilla Fannie Freddie a little bit more.
Absolutely. So that really is your standard 30-year fixed rate mortgage, right? You can go get a second opinion, a third opinion. The vast majority of Americans are doing a fixed rate 30-year mortgage loan, which I call, your vanilla
Vanilla,
Fannie Freddie.
okay, I got you, okay, absolutely, yeah, especially in the recent past when those rates were down like 2%. I never thought that would ever be seen when I first bought my home 30 years ago. I got an 8% rate and I thought I was jumping up and down
So
because they had been much higher just
Yes.
before that.
So I will quickly deviate a little bit and say I have a coworker, and he said when he bought his first house, he had 13%. So to hear 8%, I was like, you got a steal.
Yes, I think it was 1992 and I was so happy. Now, I did ultimately refinance that, but I couldn't have been happier at 8%. And now people are just like, oh no,
Yeah.
8%.
I can relate to that one.
Let's see, so let's go back and discuss investment properties because there's a large group of our viewers are investors. Can you explain the investor? And I'm sorry, I don't know this, you gave me this term, DSCR. And other loan types and terms and why it's important for real estate investors to understand that.
So the fact that you don't know DSCR just tells me, a lot of people also don't know DSCR. And let's say you're an investor and let's say on your tax returns, you don't have a lot of income, right? These vanilla Fannie Freddie loans are going to be very difficult for you to be approved for.
Right.
So DSCR is going to completely get rid of the tax return portion of it.
Oh.
We are only interested in seeing the property, the appraisal of the property, and what that rent is going to look like, and if that's going to pay the note. So DSCR is going to be your debt service calculation ratio.
Okay, I'm gonna write that down and remember that.
It's a good one.
Yeah,
And a lot of people, again, don't necessarily know about it. They think that, oh, I just have to give the bank, my tax returns and I don't have the income. I mean, I might have assets to just pay for it, but I'd rather keep the assets
Right.
for something
Right.
else.
but so as long as the property and what you're planning to get income from it justifies the loan amount, then you have a good shot of getting the loan.
Absolutely. I really like to say this is a skeleton file because it really is. There's no tax returns. In situations you can close in an LLC, which a lot of investors
Oh,
want
yes.
to do.
And you can't do that on a regular other Fannie Freddie loan. You
That's
can't
right.
do that.
That's absolutely correct. Let's talk a little bit about other loan programs as well. Let's say you are a business owner and maybe you want to put your assets in your business account, things like that. So we can get you approved on a bank statement loan as well. So don't need to see tax returns. We just need to see maybe 12, 24 consecutive months from a business account and get you approved that way
Oh.
as well.
And that's good news for a lot of business owners,
Mhm.
like myself.
Yeah.
Well, is there anything else you want to share on that particular subject? Otherwise, I wanted to bring up that, DFW is still continuing to be a very favorable, location for people to move, get jobs. Our market is, regardless what else is happening, it seems our market here just continues to go. So what are the key questions buyers or realtors can ask lenders to better ensure when they come here, their company relocates, they come here, want to buy a home, what kind of questions should the new home buyers ask their lenders?
That's great. So I would like to start off to say it really takes a team to get you to the closing table, as you very well understand as well. The homeowner might not necessarily know that. They might just think the realtor is going to handle all this for me, and that's not the
Not the
case.
case.
You need the title company. And what is title? You need the
Right.
appraiser. Is the appraisal the same as an inspection? And then you have your lender providing the funds for that. So it really does take a team to get you to closing. So I highly recommend, as soon as you move over here, that you really talk to someone who understands the market, understands your specific needs. Communication is just so important. And I would just like to add to that, that just because you provide over your financials, your bank statements, we pull credit, doesn't always necessarily mean the lender is going to understand everything about you and your financial situation.
Correct.
No one knows that better than you. So as long as we're able to communicate very well, have those lines, we're able to successfully get you to that closing table with the rest of the team.
Yeah, it's important to have people you can trust and that are knowledgeable on their part of the transaction.
Mhm.
Every part has to work, do its own part.
Absolutely.
Right, right. Well, is there, Cesar, that's really most of the questions I have. Is there anything that you want to add, or otherwise we can wrap this up, and thank you for joining us today.
Absolutely. This was a pleasure. That's about it that I have on my end. So thank you
Oh.
again for the opportunity.
All right, and again, my name is Gaylene Rogers Lonergan. I am the managing partner of the Lonergan Law Firm. I've been in business here 25 years. Here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, we're exclusive real estate and title office. Anything related to real estate, we take care of, particularly real estate investors. So thanks, everyone.